gang. Hey, nothing but love and respect. You might have some cool fans, but mine are the best. We've been through it all, went to war when duty called. Never left a man behind, we move as one is super strong. I don't want followers, that implies I'm the leader. I'm not the captain, I just gave them something they can believe in. I hold the lamp in the darkness, but they're the light that I needed to see the road that we walk in between the angels and demons. And my fans have my back. Hate us if your feelings don't like facts. And my fans will fight back. Beat you with the keyboard you've been using to write back. I guess we need each other like both sides of the battery. We the army, we the homies, we the gang, we the cavalry. We're brothers and sisters, we hold it down like we gravity. Can't nobody break the bond that made us all family.
Me and my fans, we don't care what anybody say. Middle fingers to whoever in the way, man. Me and my fans, we gon' be together till the grave. It's the game till forever and a day, man. Me and my fans, we don't even trip in the hate. We got all the fuck in our veins, man. Me and my fans,
We the hangover gang. Gang, 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 gang.
Oklahoma weather can dish out some of the worst punishment in the world. Hi everyone, I'm meteorologist Tuttle. But now you can fight back by installing Class 4 impact-resistant shingles from Ferguson Roof Systems. These shingles can withstand large hail, heavy rain, and hurricane-force winds, all while keeping your home safe and dry. And the best part? This upgrade is completely free for many homeowners. So call today to start reaping the benefits these Class 4 shingles bring, including a discount on home insurance. Only at FergusonRoofSystems.com.
Hey, meteorologist Tuttle, back with you again. It is just a little after 9:30 here this evening. So you've come to the right place, as once again we're going to talk about the winter storm coming up for next week. I know we just got over one. You're like, what in the world are you talking about, AT? And yeah, we got another one coming. This one looks to be a lot bigger, both in size and in magnitude. And I know it's early in the game. We are several days away, obviously. We're still basically a week out. And so to see a big system like this in the signal over the spread of the model data, in other words, all the models, that if you ignore that at your peril as a meteorologist. So just to let you know, that's a big deal. So we're going to talk about that here for you tonight. Give you all the information that I have here for you and get you up to date. I won't be around tomorrow, but I will probably do another live over the weekend. Don't know if it'll be Saturday or Sunday or both. We'll just see. Because I get excited about these deals. So let's take a look, see what's going on out there right now. First off, thanks again for you guys joining me on YouTube and on Twitter, for leaving your comments, suggestions, love, hate, trolling, whatever you want to do. It's a free country. I'm going to post on my Facebook page. If you'd like to get notified when I do go live, hit the link I just posted. I'll send you a message directly into your Facebook Messenger. You will need to hit, there's two buttons. One is watch live now. The other one is manage messages. You will need to hit the manage messages every now and then to re-opt in. That's how it goes. Otherwise, it'll drop you and you won't get notified anymore. So that should be helpful. Okay, with all that said and done, let's move along, shall we? By the way, thank you for the stars tonight. I already see a bunch of you in the house with them. Looks like Jeree, Chayton, Michael. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. All right, let's go to first deal. Of course, it's cold out there, 33 degrees. We did warm up a little bit today. Whatever snow we had out there over parts of central Oklahoma melted rather quickly. And really the body of the state, with the exception south and west. We'll show you that here in a second. Matter of fact, let's do that now. I will show you, in case you missed earlier today, the post that I made on Facebook. The National Weather Service was able to get enough phone calls to figure out how much snow we saw. And so because of that, they were able to kind of contour these down here in southwest Oklahoma, where you see anywhere from 3 to 6 inches of rain down there. Rain. 3 to 6 inches of snow. Hey, rain would be nice. We're kind of dry. But we didn't get much to measure here in central Oklahoma, unfortunately. I'm saddened about that. But at least the models were right as far as all that major lift we talked about down here in southwest Oklahoma. So congratulations to all the snow lovers and the snowmen building in that part of the state and into northwest Texas. Okay, so enough of that. So what is going to happen? By the way, this is an Activate a Stars party. 3 minutes and 30 seconds left. So get hot there, Facebook. Looks like you got your chance. All right, let's take a look at the model data. Now, I'm going to show you, we've got a vast different look in the jet stream, in the upper levels of the atmosphere, going to 12Z Wednesday. All right, so 12Z is 6 a.m. For our intended purposes. All right, so we're going to put the low to represent the upper level storm system out here. Now, this is the icon model. This is the German model. It's actually pretty decent, but I'm going to look at each one of these to see how they differ. And it has the low out here off the shore of Southwest California, but it pipes in the instability and the moisture right over Oklahoma. So this is kind of a classic setup for a prolonged icing event, like a freezing rain, for example. And you can tell that by the output that the model produces about that time, because it's not going to have an ice output with it. It's just going to have snow or rain. It can't differentiate between the two. So if you look during the day on Wednesday, you see a lot of heavy rain here across the body of Oklahoma with just some snow up here in the northwestern parts of the state. This is not a signal you want to see. This indicates a major ice storm here for Oklahoma. Now, long ways away, and this is just one model. So let's see what the other ones show us. So we're going to flip through. This is the UK Met, United Kingdom, and they've got more of a somewhat closed low appearance. It's still kind of an open wave trough, but it's not out here off the coast of California. It's across Arizona, but same idea. Influence here is to bring in the instability, the moisture, and the lift to cause some precipitation. Okay, and then we go into the American model. Similar placement in the broad trough. Broad trough axis is like this, but again, no closed low. All right, now let's go to the Canadian model. Whoa, where does it go? It goes way back out here west. It's actually closer to the position of the icon model, but it does not have the closed low, but still the same outcome. When you get a very deep broad trough out here that taps into the Pacific, you will pick up a lot of specific moisture and energy, and even upper level disturbances that'll ride in the southern track of the jet stream that will come across Mexico into Texas and Oklahoma. And they're very difficult to track in real time. The models often miss them. They're subtle. There's not a big sounding network down here. The models are better now at getting than they used to be with better satellite, but still, needless to say, that's still a good setup for us. And then we head into the European model. Now it looks more like the like the American did, with the trough axis back out here, kind of just west of the Four Corners area. Same kind of idea, though. Most of the lift still making its way overhead. And then the, I don't know why I even look at this. This is the climate forecast model. Only reason why it got my attention is it kind of split the difference. It kept the idea of a closed low out here from instead of southwestern California, it moved into southern Arizona, but the same general track or position as the others. So the truth is going to lie somewhere in the middle of all this. Now, the difference is the devil, because the devil's in the details, right? And to get that specific on certain details this far out, not going to be possible. So what we look for is a general trend and a general pattern, and then historically we look at what this usually means for Oklahoma, and usually that does mean an ice storm for us. So let's see what happens. I'll just look at two model outputs. We'll kind of split the difference. We'll go with the European data, and then we'll go with the Canadian, because the Canadian is kind of the closest to the icon. And the European and the American are similar, so we'll look at that. So here's the European data for Tuesday next week, late day. So it's got a few showers, sprinkles returning. Cold front does come in, though, that Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. So it does produce some light rainfall overnight, Tuesday night and Wednesday morning. Now, again, it depends on how far south that cold area is, because at Wednesday morning, I would expect the Arctic front to already be here, which means this would be freezing drizzle and light freezing rain. Now, the model does start to pick up on that with the pink and the purple shading, kind of a mixture of freezing rain and sleet. Blue is all snow. That's in Kansas, Nebraska, Texas Panhandle. But through the day on Wednesday, it's got this I-44 hot zone right here of freezing rain and sleet before it transitions over to snow up here in the northwest Oklahoma, and just plain old liquid rain down here southeast during the day on Wednesday. Now, as we head into Wednesday night, of course, that cold air deepens and moves southward, and it really cranks up the precipitation here in northeast Oklahoma for a really strong winter storm with a lot more accumulation. Possibly, yes, it could be some severe weather down here in far southeast Oklahoma, southwest Arkansas. We've seen that before. Yes, we've seen tornadoes and snow in the state at the exact same time, from one corner to the next. So that does occur. I'll look at the forecast sounding, which I had not done, just to see what the atmosphere looks like at that point in time. And sure enough, the shear is conducive for rotating supercell thunderstorms and a classic supercell structure. Very good hodograph. Let's see, just not much instability, surface instability. So this will be synoptic driven, freak event. But you know what? It does happen. So who knows? We'll see. But that's for Wednesday night. And then there's Thursday morning wraparound snow, and it's out of here. That's just one solution. Okay. And if you were to say which solution is better than the other, it's hard to say at this point in time. Remember, because we're still early in the game. But we're going to take a look at two of the main ones, and then we'll see how it goes as we get closer to it. So again, there's Tuesday, some light showers. This is on the Canadian output on into Wednesday morning. So the Wednesday morning's got light rain here in central Oklahoma. Keep in mind, with the position of the cold front quickly moving in, this could easily turn into light freezing rain and freezing drizzle. If I were to plot a sounding at that point in time, right now the model indicates that the front is not quite through yet. It's got a temperature of 40 degrees, but this far out, that can easily be an error. The pattern suggests it would be. Arctic air usually moves in a little quicker, slides underneath. So we'll see what happens, but during the day, there's Wednesday lunchtime, and then the afternoon, it's got still snow going up here across Kansas, and west from there, and then it kind of delays the start of the ice here for central and southeast Oklahoma. Now the red is all freezing rain, the purple is the sleet. So you can see Tulsa County split right in between. So this is Tulsa County right here, and it's northern side sleet, southern side freezing rain. Here in Oklahoma City, same kind of deal. Southeast side freezing rain, northwest side sleet. So you want sleet over freezing rain. Every day of the week, you will take that. If you look at the next time frame for Thursday morning, remember this is a little different look. It's a little slower storm system. You've got freezing rain all the way down to Dallas-Fort Worth, and then you got a widespread freezing rain here southeast Oklahoma and sleet across the body of Oklahoma along that I-44 corridor, and snow up to the north and west. And here's midday Thursday. It is just going nuts with that ice and sleet accumulation. And there's the afternoon for Thursday. Still a mess, and then it's finally out of here. So there's two looks at the data. One conservative, believe it or not, and one extreme. It can go either way. It depends on how things look as we get closer with the upper level pattern. Now, the American model didn't go all crazy with the freezing rain output. It did have some indications here across northern, northeastern Oklahoma, Kansas, and it's got it later in the period for northeast Texas and Arkansas. So just a signal there. Not exactly a great signal. If you look at the Canadian model, it went nuts. Remember, we saw it in the output. It's going up to 1.37 inches of ice. Now, it will not be obviously 1 1/3 inches of pure ice. Even though the model sometimes will get nuts like this, I have never seen that verify, even though they will hold that till the day they die and the event is over. And that's just because of the way freezing rain accumulates. We will never see, in other words, a thickness of 1.5 inches of thick ice on, say, trees hanging down or power lines. For one, they'll all break and fall long before that happens. But anyway, so here's a look at the European data. Remember, this is conservative, but look at the signal. You still have a wide swath of freezing rain here accumulating over the body of Oklahoma, and it's got its heavier spots here to 1/2 inch to 1 inch up here in southwest Missouri. So your take home from looking at this data with me is that yes, we have a significant winter storm coming that's going to produce all the above: freezing rain, sleet, and snow. Speaking of snow, how much? Well, again, now remember, snowfall totals are stupid hard, but this is just going to be looking at what the trend is showing, and it's saying it's plenty cold enough for mostly all snow to our north and west into Kansas, etc., northern Missouri, and back out to the west from here. So it's a big winter storm for the central and southern plains. And you can see that hard line in the sand. This is right along the I-44 corridor from Tulsa, Oklahoma City to Lawton. And that's the way it always stacks up, it seems, here for our winters. This is a classic setup, folks. And you're going to start to hear a lot of doomsday predictions from the local TV guys. And I'll tell you, that's because there's the way it looks right now. And they're going to give you the heads up that it's coming. That way you can't say you didn't know. All All right, so just take a look at it that way. Don't laugh too hard, because yes, things can change. It's just right now, this is the way the pattern looks. On the American model, look what happens to the snow. It's all the north. Now that typically means either it's got a lot drier, or it's got more ice than it does snow. But it does have some massive snow amounts up here to the north, up to around a foot or more in the northern Kansas and southern Nebraska. If we go to the European model, kind of splits the difference. It still has some snow here in Oklahoma, right on that I-44 corridor, then points to north and west. But then the foot or more is still kind of in that heavier area to the north. So there's kind of an idea of how you can have, let me see. So there's European, Canadian, American, Canadian, European. All right, so the big difference is not so much a shift in the placement, because they're pretty close to that. It's just in the amounts. And obviously, in reality, the Canadian is the most conservative. And, it's too early to tell which way it's going to go. It depends on how slow and everything else. But needless to say, that's a big deal. Okay, so we take a look at the confidence level. As of today, Thursday, January 27th, for an event that's going to occur in 7 days. The European model, when you look at the ensembles, we push the model 50 different directions, and we look at all the outputs. It likes 1, 2, 3, there's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. On down here, so there's a few more. And then if we go to the next 50, let's go here, back up, and you see a lot more signals. Now you do see some dry signals. I'm going to be honest with you. See this? A couple of the models says, you know what, nothing's going to happen. This is a nothing burger. But there's very few of those. So what that means is typically at this point in time, the confidence is quite high that we're going to have a winter storm. That's the takeaway. All right, now here's a look at temperatures. By the way, just want to give you a snapshot of how it's going to feel. Here's Thursday morning, looking at a blend of the model data. 18 degrees here in Oklahoma City, 12 in Enid, 5 in Liberal, Kansas, 20s down south, all the way down to Dallas-Fort Worth. They're looking at temperatures below freezing. When you factor in the winds with this storm system, and that's another factor, because the winds can be quite nasty depending on how things go, for power line problems, snow problems, weight, all that kind of stuff. But 6 a.m. Thursday, just to give you an idea what we're talking about here, is wind chill values pretty much around 0 in central Oklahoma, and in the minus teens north and west as you travel, even down into the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Wind chills down there into the teens. And then finally, your forecast as far as temperatures are concerned. Hey, you know what? Rebounding here nicely for today, and then we'll be in the 60s, for tomorrow. Cool, but not bad. Then we'll be in the 60s over the weekend, looking really good. Overnight low still pretty chilly, of course. It is wintertime after all. And then we shall see what happens here at this particular time. If the front comes in, looks like it will, late Tuesday night. This is the temperature at midnight that would fall, and then we would be into the 30s or 20s for the rest of the day on Wednesday. So Wednesday is a question day as far as a lot of things that have to happen. Meanwhile, the consensus is there that Thursday is going to be ridiculously cold. That 31 would never happen. If we had all that ice and snow around here with the system departing, it would more likely be a day in the teens as a result of all that precipitation frozen on the ground. And then we'll start to rebound slowly after that. Typically the models will warm things up a little too fast once we have an event like this. So you'll have to retard the warm up here just a few degrees each of these days and nights as a result of that. So that's what I've got for you. That was a mess, right? That was a mouthful. Now, I told you earlier, what do you want? All right, so let's do this. So freezing rain, just so, because some of you may not know the difference in the precipitation type. So freezing rain occurs when there's a little warm layer in the atmosphere that any snow or anything that's developing falls through and it melts. Back to good old-fashioned rain. Then it comes down to this thin Arctic front layer where it flash freezes on contact. So it's like a raindrop that just turns into a solid sheet of ice just like that over anything that's elevated. So grass, fences, trees, power lines, your car, bridges, roads. So that's the worst outcome for us. Then we have sleet. So sleet is the same process, okay, but either the warm layer where it melts is a little more shallow, and maybe it's a little cooler, or the layer below it is a little thicker. Maybe it's a little bit colder. And so all that does is give it more time to then refreeze into a teeny tiny ice ball. So it's kind of like if you get the snow cones, right? You got little dots, not quite like a Dippin' Dots, because this would be clear see-through ice, but same idea, little dots. So that's sleet, and that would bounce around. So sleet is great for power line concerns, so power outage issues, it's fine. But when it comes to roadways, it's atrocious. So that's its main influence there. All right, so that's why you'd want sleet preferably to freezing rain, because no power outages with that. Snow can be a power outage issue because it can put weight on the lines. Obviously, it's a problem with driving because it can reduce visibilities down to 0. It can drift. Obviously, it's fun in one aspect of it. So snow is a better outcome overall, and we'll get some of that too. So that's the way everything looks right now. You can track all these changes with my weather app, AT's Weather to Go. It's free. It's on Apple and Google Play. You can go to my website at any time, AaronTuttleWeather.com. Just type it in, and I'll have updated stuff on that. I usually do a blog once a week on Sundays, so I'll definitely have another blog for you here this Sunday to see what the latest look is. But I'll be doing these live updates here on social media through Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, off and on, up into the event. I'm a lot more active on the lives when we have something to talk about versus when it's just San Diego sunny. All right, so you usually sometimes don't see me some certain times of the year is because I'm taking a break. I need some me time to relax, because then we get these little ramped up systems and it's fun. It takes a lot of energy though and time to deal with, but I enjoy it because meteorologists, you have to really love the weather to do this kind of work. Otherwise it'll eat you up. So let me think. Anything else of importance? And on my website, by the way, let me just show you. Let me show you something. And I've talked about this before. All right, so we'll go there now. If you look up here at the Weather Data tab and you scroll down, and I talked about this the other day, but you will see a link for Oklahoma power outages, and you will see a link for Oklahoma road conditions. So make sure you use both of these when it comes time for that severe weather. Because I get a lot of people that ask me, hey, how are the roads looking? What's the latest? You can go here and find out yourself in 2 shakes, no problem. And also, this is kind of a neat little deal, is ping real-time weather reports. So if you're wondering, have people reported, snow or ice or grapple or whatever, rain, you can go here and see what real-time reports are from people like you and me. They just report it to the National Weather Service. So vital information there that'll be helpful for you during severe weather and or spring storms or winter storms or summer storms, any storm, any event for that magnitude. Okay, so let me go to a couple questions, and then we are going to get on out of here for your Thursday night. Let's see. All right, on YouTube, by the way, Matthew wants to know, what does the GFS say for the nor'eastern system? So I do have some followers on other parts of the country. They're always wondering what's going on. We can take a look at that here in a second and see if any of the other new model data has come in. So hang on with me. There's some new data does come in right about 10 o'clock, so we can take a quick peek at that, see if it's reached the time frame we're looking at. But Scorpio, you're welcome for the explanation, the difference between the precipitation types. I do have a graphic I often put up to show that, and I haven't done it in a while. Let me see if I can find it here real quick, because it's a good visual explainer, and there's so much stuff I have that I show, and then sometimes I forget because there's too much stuff, and then it's like you can't show everything, right? Let me think. Where is it? I know I saved it on here somewhere. I'm gonna have to find it. I'll use it for the next broadcast is what I'll do. Yeah, that's what I'll do. So I'll have to find it. I know I got it on somewhere. But anyway, so I'll do that, and then we'll see what happens. Okay, so back to Facebook. Get you guys here real quick. See if there's any questions here for me I can answer. Again, thank you for all the stars tonight, so I appreciate you. It's always nice to be rewarded for your support, for the work I do. Let's see here. Larry, no comment about the dude across the street at the TV station. I can tell you Jody was very disappointed in our snow event yesterday. She said, we better get more than that or I'm going back to Canada. Let's see. Kim, thank you for the stars. I see you there, Ron. Let's see. Cindy's got some snow there in Fort Sill. Good deal. Sharon does not want any ice. I don't blame you. I don't think anybody wants any ice. It's pretty, though. The only thing I think good about the ice is that it makes for some great sunrise and sunset photos. Yeah, Jody wants a big dump of snow. Shocker, right? From a Canadian. Yeah, half an inch of ice is too much. By the way, just so you know, to give a frame of reference, you don't have to have an inch of ice to cause power outages. It'll happen at about a quarter of an inch with a good wind. So that's kind of the minimum, and then it gets worse from there. So you gotta have at least that criteria to cause problems. Chris says, out of curiosity, could it shift south? Yes, we are still early, folks. So what would happen if it did shift south? That's a good question. So what that would do, remember all that snow up in Kansas and parts of Nebraska? It would bring it south. Those feet, yeah, it would bring it south in Oklahoma. That's what I'm talking about. And then it would give Dallas, North Texas, the big ice storm. That's how that would play out. So about, 200 miles difference in track. Big change in the outcome. That driving 200 miles sounds like a lot, but in the atmosphere, 200 miles is nothing. And so, you're trying to get specific this far out with that, ain't gonna happen. All right, Melody, I see there were some stars. You too, Robert. Sharon, you're welcome. Lori, I see you watching. Joy, we were in Cushing last year with a bad ice storm. Moved back to Broken Bow, and here it comes again. You're bringing it with you. Trent, I'm supposed to fly back from Denver Thursday afternoon. Should I change my flight to Wednesday afternoon? Well, if you notice, Trent, we looked at two different models. Depending on the timing, it's either a Wednesday or Thursday storm or in between. So honestly, at this point in time, the only way you're guaranteed to get out with no problems is Tuesday. If not, wait till Friday, and then you can get out with slow delays. That's the only thing I can tell you now. Obviously, as we get closer, we'll answer that question a little bit better, and you can pick a day. But for right now, that's the way it looks. So if you have to make a change, that's the data that you have to work with. My son lives in Venice Beach. Katina says, how much he's going to get with the nor'easter? Oh yeah. So we'll look at that. That's two requests for the Northeast. We'll take a look just here in a second. I have to drive. Lisa says Thursday. Take a few of my sons to a tournament in Austin, from Oklahoma City to Austin. How far south will I have to go to get out of this mess? You'll have to get past Dallas, as it looks right now. Let's see here. Sam, thank you for the stars. You're welcome, Elizabeth. Lauren, thank you. Katina, thank you. All right, so let's tell you what. Let's do the. Let's see if anything new come in on the data, and we'll take a look at the Northeast. How about that? And then we're gonna get out of here for the day. Does that work for you? Works for me. Okay. That's not what I want. Give me a second here. Anything new there? No. Okay. So no new data has come in yet, but we will take a look at the Northeast. Because a lot of our storm systems that come through the central and southern plains just rip right up the East Coast and give those guys nice nor'easters. So we do have one that's coming up for tomorrow night, and it's got the low pretty far offshore, which means it takes most of the heavy snow with it. So that's good. It just means that the right along the coast is where you get the worst accumulations, and it quickly lets up from there. But then usually as it wraps up here into the Long Island area, you can see how that kind of does a little pinwheel deal, and that dumps some serious snow eastern side of upstate New York, etc., and then Maine, of course. So that's how that looks. Then the second system looks like it may go to your west and just provide you with a bunch of rain. That's our system currently, but we'll see. All right, so let's go look at your totals. And I'm going to go with this other map we looked at here. And then I'll switch the position. And, oops, get back over here. Okay, what's this doing? Let's do this. Okay. So when you look at the snowfall amounts here from the European, for example, all right, so on the eastern coast, we mentioned where the big stuff is, about a foot of snow right on the coastline that it trails off pretty quick once you get toward the mountain terrain. And then if you look at from New York City, north and east, that's where you get some ridiculous amounts. That says 40 inches of snow. It's a European. The Canadian model, same idea, but it has a little bit more snow inland, but it still has up around 30 plus inches of snow in that area. And then the American model, the GFS, is so far out to sea, it doesn't have a whole lot of snow anywhere on the coastline. It looks like it's got about a foot or so right along the coast here, and then into the far southeastern areas of Maine or so. Yeah, that's where it puts this heavier snow. So that is a quick look what's happening in the northeast. So another good nor'easter up there. You know, if you guys like it, like that stuff. I couldn't imagine having 3 feet of snow and having to deal with that fallout, that mess. Here in Oklahoma, it'd snow 2 feet and then melt in 2 days, and then we'd be like back to sunshine and nice. Julie, we love you in Dallas. Thanks for including us. You bet. Jason does not like the Aggie hoodie. Hey man, you need to be paying it. You need to get on the Aggie bandwagon here. I don't know if you've noticed. Seriously, I don't think this has ever happened in college football, but we have all the recruits. All of them. Top 5, got them. We've got 5-star, got them. 4-star, yeah, we'll take those too. So I don't know what to tell you, man. Prepare for a dynasty run because this is stupid, ridiculous down there. So for college football, man, you know, it's funny. I'll tell you this little secret. This is hilarious. So Jody and I went down there. Took her to our first Texas A&M football game, right? And I told her to, you know, you got to experience midnight yell. So it's where we get down the night before at midnight, do some cheers. All the student body and former students come down, and the team gets down there and all this kind of stuff, right? Well, we had some of those recruits visiting Texas A&M that weekend, and I won't say their names, but they were the top recruits in the country. And so we were taking pictures with them right in the front. Now, at the time, we didn't know this was going to happen. We just happened to sit down next to the student body guys that put the thing together. So they had signs and everything. So they came into the stands, and we took some pictures, sitting right next to them, right? And I posted on Twitter, and before they become famous. Well, that went viral, unbeknownst to me, in the backgrounds of all the chat boards. And big wigs, and I mean money big wigs, were all claiming that I was a super donor and I was paying these guys a lot of money to come to A&M personally, that I was big time. So just so you know, I can maybe see how that could appear, because remember, I'm 48 years old, even though I look 28. But you can see I'm definitely an older ag amongst a sea of 20-year-old or 18-year-olds. And that wouldn't make any sense otherwise, right? So you put 2 and 2 together. Well, clearly, he's an A&M top donor. And clearly, he's paying. It's pay to play. So they got really upset on the message boards. And so that was what happened to me there. So I became famous in a whole different way. Anyway, I didn't say anything. I just let them believe it because it was hilarious. But that's how a photo posted on the internet can cause an uproar where you didn't even know it. And I had people texting me out of the blue going, everybody's asking, who's this Aaron Tuttle guy? So it was quite entertaining. Anyway, so that's my A&M story for you, for a couple of these recruits that were there that night that ended up signing up with A&M. I think it was 2 of the 3 signed, so 5 stars. So there you go. There's Maggie's story. All right. Oh, Katina says, thank you for calming a mom's anxiety. You're pretty good at that. Listen, I am so glad to hear that, because when it comes to severe weather season, we want to make sure you stick around. It has gotten out of control. When I worked at Channel 5 here in Oklahoma City, it was already getting bad, and it just got worse. So the circus is in town in the springtime for severe weather, and fear sells. If you haven't turned on your TV in the last 2 years, COVID, fear sells, right? Fear is a motivator. Fear will get you to do whatever. Well, in the weather business, fear is all around tornadoes here in Oklahoma. And I have people that move in from the East Coast and West Coast, and they are scared. They are terrified that they're all going to die moving here in Oklahoma because of these tornadoes. And I tell them, hey, don't worry about it. This is how it really works. This is what it really is. And they'll end up watching my coverage versus the guys on TV, and they'll be like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad people told me about you, right? Because now I can breathe. So that is great to hear. Unfortunately, I'm the only one in the market doing this. Now, that's good. I mean, from a competitor standpoint and a business standpoint, but it's just sad that that's the way it is. That's the sad reality. So remember that model in television, that's the way it is. I don't make money. I don't have to make money at this, right? It's not my bread and butter. It's not why I'm doing this. So it's a completely different mindset. When you have to do this for a living, and you have to live off of this, and you have to run a corporation off of this, you will use fear to pull out every single eyeball and advertising dollar you can to fuel that machine. So now you know the reason why things get so out of control in the Oklahoma City market when you're talking about severe weather. And it's a self-perpetuating thing, because once one person does it, they all have to do it. If they don't, they lose ratings. If they lose ratings, well, then they lose money. And then the boss comes back there and goes, either you do it or you're fired. So then they all do it. And it's sad. It's a sad reality. So, it's frustrating for anyone that's in a job where you have to do what your boss says to do, and it goes against your moral convictions, and you don't want to do it, right? And what do? Do I shut up, suck it up, put food on the table, do what I'm told? Or do I, on principle, say, you know what? Stick it. I'm not doing what you said to do. Okay, well, great. Now, who's going to feed the family when you get home that day? So, when you do have the trolling, hate, or vitriol, or you get upset at those guys, that's the position that they're in. Right or wrong, that's the position that they're in. I got so tired of being in that position, I got out. All right, I see the writing on the wall. It's getting worse. I've told this story before, but the first, good grief, man, it was the first season of weather here in Oklahoma when I moved here in 2001, and the Channel 9 had put their little map up on the screen for a strong storm. Right, it was a shower, literally a shower. And so my boss comes back and goes, how come we don't have our map up? I said, 'cause it's a shower. And I said, I'm not selling myself out for a shower. And she said, well, I'll find someone who will. And I was like, oh, it's like that. So that was my time to take your scientist hat off, put it over here, and put on your Armageddon hat, because now you're in the news business. So that was a very tough pill to swallow, and I had to deal with that for a while. But luckily, I worked with a boss, Rick Mitchell, who was very mild, tamed in all this aspect compared to the guys. So even though our boss wanted more, when you got two that says, let's do more tame and, a less anxious approach, that was a niche. So, we kind of won out in that regard. But then I left and he left, and then the market just... So, that's a little inside story on how that kind of stuff works, for better or for worse, whether you like it or not. It's like with anything, you have to vote with your clicks or you vote with your eyeballs, right? And click either by the remote or click with your mouse. That's how you stop supporting that entity, that organization, if they really bother you. I will tell you this, though, you're human, and humans are naturally drawn, which is silly, We are naturally drawn to anxiety-producing information. It just is what it is. For example, car wreck, right? Side of the road. What do? You slow down to do this. You try to just do this next time, and you will fight yourself to do that, even though you know you shouldn't look, and you're going to slow everybody else down behind you. You know how the whole thing works. Just try to do it, just to see what happens, and it's going to be hard to do. Now, of course, obviously, if it's in your area and you can help the person, that's a whole different animal. I'm not even talking about that. I'm just talking about the old looky-loo, what's going on over there, 10 lanes over, where there's already a truck or emergency crews, and, they're doing whatever. That's what I'm talking about. But there you go. So on the weather side, I like to provide for you guys the alternate of that. So, people call it alternate media, in the world today. You can call this alternate weather if you want, whatever you want to do. But that's the way I present the weather. I give you more facts, more science, and I'll talk it through it. I tell you why things happen, why they won't happen. There's a lot of, it's going to do it any minute now. It's going to do a tornado any minute now. And it's like nowhere close to doing it, right? But if I was on TV jumping up and down, they'd want you to turn that channel. That's what I would tell you. Now, they're either being dishonest or they're complete idiots and they really don't know what they're talking about. Either way, you're not turning the channel, right? Now, I won't do that here. I'll tell you, there's no way in the world it's going to produce a tornado, and this is why. So when I tell you that, then you see the other guy jump up and down, and then you come back because 5, 10, 20, 30 minutes later, nothing ever happened, then you'll know, okay, I've learned. I hear that story all the time. That's why I'm repeating it. So that's good. That means it tells me I'm doing the right thing, all right? Okay, so I somehow, once again, got off on a side tangent, just like last night. You stick with me, and we have these fireside chats, minus the fireside. But you know what? I have a green screen behind me, so I could put up a fake fire, and we could really have a fireside chat. That might be a thing I should do. Anyway, let me look real quick, see if any of the new data's come in since I've spoke a bit long. It's out to 90 hours. Not far enough. It's okay. It's fine. I didn't want to see the American model anyway. All right, so let me think here. Anything else? Scorpio says, that is how I found you. This past tornado season, I was watching the news and my blood pressure was so high because every 5 minutes was supposedly another tornado coming toward us. Preach it. Yeah, that's the way it is, unfortunately. So I advise you to have, if you live in Oklahoma, have a NOAA weather radio. Okay. Gotta have one. Programmable so it doesn't go off for everything. There's one in this link in this video. It's directly from my Amazon store link. And it's the best one for that purpose. So that's why I put it on there. That's the one I would get. I know you're not going to want to hear this, but the sirens, those are for last minute. You do not want to depend upon a siren. They're not made for indoor. They're made for outdoors, for the people that have no clue and have lived under a rock. That's who the sirens are made for, and they malfunction, etc. And they have different policies on when they're turned on by different entities. So there is no cohesion there. So don't depend on them. It's great to have them, but don't depend on them. And then the other was make sure you have a weather app, AT's Weather to Go. And you're like, well, of course you're going to plug your own weather app, Aaron. Well, yeah. I worked really hard, for one. 2, it's free and costs you a dime. 3, it does what no other apps will do across the country, is it will actually predict tornadoes. How it does that is it takes a look at the current radar data and it puts in a basket of indices and high resolution model data and predictive data, and then it tells you, okay, look, this storm has what it needs to produce a tornado. Therefore, I'm going to issue you a specific alert. In other words, it goes right to your GPS location. So when you have my app on, make sure, and this is frustrating from a developer, content creator standpoint, and I get why Apple and Google are doing this, right, for privacy issues and etc. But they've made it so cumbersome and confusing now on apps to give them permissions and what it means. So my app, you have to give it blanket permissions, always. And it doesn't know anything about you, first off. it just needs to know the location that you're in so that it can send you these custom alerts. So if I got a tornado that's going to hit your neighborhood, you'll want to know about it, right? So it'll give you up to, so far the most I've seen is up to about a 20-minute heads up warning before you get the actual tornado warning from the National Weather Service. What in the world would you do with an extra 20 minutes? You could finish a Cobra Kai episode, you could finish dinner. I mean, I'm just kidding. Obviously, you don't want to waste those 20 minutes doing silly things because that would be ridiculous. But it gives you more time to get the kids, the pets, get them all covered up in their helmets and their padding for sportswear, and your shelter. Grab your whatever you're going to grab for your escape plan, all that kind of stuff. So that's where all the extra time comes into play. So my app will do that for you. But yeah, so make sure you have always on. It'll use your GPS location, so it needs those location services going in the background. So allow always or run always. Don't do it only when open, because if you have a tornado coming down and you don't have the app open, sorry, it's not going to work properly. And that's the frustrating part for me, because I want it to work properly for everybody, right? Or this is what I get: your app didn't tell me there's a tornado. And in some of those cases, it's because you didn't have it set up right on your permissions. And there's nothing I can do about that. So that's one of those deals where, unfortunately, smartphones, they keep changing. You just, I don't know. I don't have an answer, really. It's frustrating. Just education. I just got to keep telling you, just make sure everything's turned on. Go, if you think you have it turned on and you've had a phone update, go back, especially iPhone users. Trust me, because half of you right now is probably not set to be on or to be used all the time. Same thing with Google now. I just got a new Android update, and it's super up. What was it, UI 14 now or 12? I forget what Android version we're on. And it's all about security too. And it'll put up. It's actually kind of cool for other apps. I don't want Facebook eavesdropping on me, right? Well, as for using Facebook, it's got a new deal where a green light, the green dot, will show up in the top right on the screen of the phone. And that green dot, when it lights up, tells you that the app that you're on is either listening to you or recording, has the camera access. Now that's creepy, right? So that was actually good news. I'm glad they did that. But again, in those types of changes, you're going to have to go with the flow and keep updating and make sure the apps that you do want to have access to are, bypass some of these restrictions, and then the ones that you don't want access to, yeah, let them restrict them. That's what I do. But that, anyway, so that's a little information there on, behind the scenes from my end. Anita, I see your comment, but no comment. So I don't want to get into a point where I rip on other people, because that's not right. So I gotta do the whole Christian attitude approach, even though sometimes it's hard, but got to do it because that's what we're supposed to do. We're called to do. I think that's it for me. You guys have a great night tonight. Sleep well, and it's good chatting with you. And we will do this again over the weekend, so make sure you tune in to get my live then. Make sure you hit the bell on YouTube, and on YouTube, double check to make sure you get notified when I go live, because Facebook half the time will turn that off without you knowing it, and you have to go back and return it on. And even then, sometimes it still won't tell you. The algorithms think that you're not interested because there's too many other things out there you might be signed up for, and so it doesn't know which one to show you. If that's the case, hit the link I sent on there. It's also in the description. You can opt in. I will personally send you a message from your Facebook Messenger that says, yo, I'm up, I'm live. If you want in, hit the button. So that's a done deal. Never fails. As long as I don't forget to press the button on my end, it'll never fail. All right, that's it for me. You guys have a great night. Again, thank you for all the stars and the support and the love. And we'll talk again soon.